So let me get this straight. A man hits a music producer over the head with a bottle in a packed London nightclub, gets arrested, spends over a year fighting it, swears up and down he's innocent, and then walks into court, flips his plea to guilty, walks back out in a tan suit and a Cardinals cap, signs a few autographs for the fans waiting outside, and then goes right back to selling out stadiums with Usher like nothing happened. That's not just a plot twist. That's Tuesday for Chris Brown, okay? And if you're sitting there like, wait, didn't we already do this in 2009? Baby, pull up a chair, okay? Because what just happened in a London courtroom is not the beginning of anything. It's the newest paragraph in a story that is almost 20 years long. Today, we gonna walk through exactly what he pleaded guilty to, what it actually means, and then the part everybody wants to skip right past, which is the receipts, okay? All of them. And I fact check every single one. So, okay, nobody come in my comments talk about that's not true. It was so long ago. He's changed. Okay, look it up, okay? Because I looked it up twice. Now let's get into it. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Indescribable, aka Geraldine Lake, and I'm back with all the details on Chris Brown's guilty plea. Okay, so here's the news that has everybody talking. On Friday, July 24th, 2026, Chris Brown walked into Southwark Crown Court in London and pleaded guilty to a charge called affray. And I know some of y'all are looking at that word like it's a typo, but it's not, okay? Affray is actually a British thing, so let me break it down for you. Affray is what the UK calls a public order of offense. Basically, it means you used or threatened violence in a way that would make a normal, reasonable person standing nearby genuinely scared for their own safety. It's less about you hurt this one specific person and more about you turned a public place into a war zone and everybody in there felt it, okay? The maximum sentence for it is 3 years in prison. Remember that, all right? Now, here's the part that matters. This guilty plea was a deal because Chris Brown was not originally charged with affray, okay? When he first got arrested, he was facing way heavier stuff like assault, attempting to cause grievous bodily harm with intent. Now, that's the British version of you try to seriously F somebody up, and possession of an offensive weapon, which in this case was a bottle. Reporters say a tequila bottle. Those charges could have sent him away for a very long time. So what happened is a classic plea deal, okay? He pleaded guilty to the lesser charge, affray, and in exchange, the prosecutors dropped the 3 serious ones. His co-defendant took the same deal. And we're going to get into that in a second, okay? His sentencing is set for October 26th of this year, and because affray tops out at 3 years, and because he took responsibility instead of dragging it through a trial, a lot of legal folks think he's looking at something on the lighter end, maybe even no jail time at all. So we genuinely don't know yet, but here is the wild part, y'all, and I just, listen, hear me out, okay? Listen, he is still out on bail, okay? He's still on tour right now today, okay? The man pleaded guilty to violent conduct in a courtroom and then just had a show to get to. So let's rewind because the incident itself is from way back in February of 2023. The place was a nightclub called Tape in Mayfair. And if you don't know London, okay, Mayfair is the fancy part. This is not some hole in the wall, okay? This is the bottles cost more than your rent part of town, all right? So according to prosecutors on February 19th of 2023, Chris Brown and another man attacked a music producer named Abraham Diao. Now, people call him Abe, okay? So I'm gonna call him Abe. This wasn't a shove. The Crown Prosecution Service said Brown hit Abe over the head with a bottle twice, okay? And then, according to the allegations, the beating continued on the floor. The senior prosecutor on the case, Claire Campbell, described it as a vicious and unprovoked attack in a crowded nightclub. And she made a point of saying that nobody is above the law. The whole thing was reportedly caught on the club's security cameras in front of a room full of people. Now, that camera footage is a big reason why the public order affray charge sticks so cleanly, because a whole club full of strangers watched it go down. Now, the co-defendant I mentioned, his name is Omalolu Akinlolu, but you might know him as Hoodie Baby. He's a rapper and he's also Chris Brown's vocal coach. He took the exact same deal, pleaded guilty to affray, same as Brown. Now, here's the timeline that shows you how long this has been dragging. Brown got arrested in May of 2025 at a 5-star hotel up in Manchester, right as he was getting ready to kick off a run of UK shows. He got held in custody at first and then he posted bail. And when I tell you the bail number, you might need to go ahead and sit down because it was £5 million. Now, that's around $6.5 to almost $7 million, depending on the day. That's not get out of jail money for a regular human. Okay, that's get out of jail and gotta go finish your European tour money. All right, and that's exactly what he did. Okay, Chris posted that bail and then went right back to performing them shows. Then in June of 2025, he pleaded not guilty, swore he didn't do it. He was headed for a trial that was supposed to start in October of this year. And then at the last stretch, the plea flipped to guilty and the trial just evaporated. Oh, and one more piece. Abe, the producer, he had also filed a civil lawsuit against Chris Brown, a separate money lawsuit, reportedly for $16 million. Now, he dropped that lawsuit in June of 2025, and nobody officially confirmed why. So there's been talks about whether the two sides quietly settled it out of court or not. We don't know for sure, so I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like I do. But the timing does raise a little bit of an eyebrow, and you're allowed to raise yours too. So while all of this legal stuff is cooking, what is Chris Brown actually doing? He's on the biggest tour of his life, okay? It's called the R&B Tour, also billed as the Raymond and Brown Tour. And it's a joint stadium run with Usher Raymond, 33 dates. It kicked off June 26th, 2026 in Denver, and it's set to wrap December 11th in Tampa. We're talking stadiums, not arenas, okay? LA added a third night because of demands. Mario has been hopping on some of the shows too. Live Nation is behind the whole thing. This is a massive, massive money-making machine, y'all, and that right there is the whole tension of this story. On one side, you got a courtroom in London where a man just admitted to violent conduct. And on the other side, you got 60,000 people a night screaming his name and paying premium prices to do so. The legal system said guilty. The market said sold out. And both of those things are true at the same damn time. So let's actually go through the history, because you can't understand why this keeps happening without seeing how far back it truly goes. Now, I'm going to do this the honest way, okay? I'm going to separate what he has actually been convicted of or admitted to from what he's only been accused of and denied, because that difference matters. And anybody who blurs it on purpose is not being fair in either direction. This is the fact check part, so stay with me, okay? This is the one that changed everything. On February 8th, 2009, the night before the Grammys, Chris Brown assaulted his girlfriend at the time, Rihanna, inside a rented car in Los Angeles. And I'm not gonna be cute about the details because ain't nothing funny here, okay? She was left with severe injuries to her face. Reports and the case record describe him punching her, biting her, and choking her. She needed medical attention. He turned himself in to the police. He was charged with 2 felonies. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of felony assault in June of 2009. In August 2009, he was sentenced to 5 years of probation, roughly 1,400 hours of what the court called labor-oriented community service, a full year of domestic violence counseling, and a stay-away order. And here's a detail that a lot of people forget or never even knew. When the probation report came out, it revealed that this was not the first time. That report described at least 2 earlier domestic violence incidents between Brown and Rihanna before that night, reportedly in Europe and in Barbados. So even the case that made him famous for the wrong reasons already had a pattern hiding underneath it. That probation officially ended in 2015 after a judge ruled he'd completed the terms. So on paper, he did the time. That's real. And that's the exact thing his defenders lean on. He was a teenager. He paid for it. People can change. Hold that thought, okay? Because we do have to keep the receipts coming, all right? Because here's what he served his time and changed runs into, all right? The list didn't stop in 2009. It barely paused. In early 2013, there was a reported altercation with the singer Frank Ocean, where Brown allegedly got into a physical fight and, per reporting at the time, threatened him. No conviction there, but it's on the record as an incident. In 2013, his probation from the Rihanna case got revoked after a hit-and-run situation in Los Angeles. Those specific charges got dismissed, but he had to take on more community service. Then October 2013, and this one is a conviction. He was arrested for felony assault in Washington, D.C. after a fight with 2 men outside a hotel. The charge got knocked down to a misdemeanor, and he ended up spending about 36 hours in jail along with his bodyguard. In 2014, he got kicked out of a court-ordered rehab facility for breaking the rules, and that violation landed him back in jail for around 2.5 months. He also got denied entry into a couple of countries over the years because of his record. So this is not a one bad night as a teenager situation, okay? This is a solid decade of the legal system and border agencies going, yeah, we know exactly who this is. Just go straight to hell. Okay. In 2017, his ex-girlfriend, the actress Karrueche Tran, was granted a 5-year restraining order order against him. Now, let's be precise here because this is where fact checking really matters, okay? A restraining order being granted is a fact. It happened. A judge signed off on it. The things that she said in order to get it are her allegations. In court filings, she accused him of physical abuse, of threats, of sending her violent and threatening messages. Brown denied the allegations, of course, at the time. No criminal charges came out of it, but the court looked at what she brought and decided that she needed protection from him for at least 5 years. Now, you can hold he was never criminally convicted for this, and a judge granted a multi-year protective order in your head at the same time because both are absolutely true. And now the heaviest category and the one I'm going to handle the most carefully because these are very serious accusations that did not result in convictions, okay? In 2018, a woman filed a lawsuit alleging that she was sexually assaulted at Brown's home during a party. To be specific, the lawsuit accused another man, a rapper, of the assault himself, but claimed it happened at Brown's house and that Brown supplied drugs to the party. The case was dismissed and reportedly settled out of court around 2020, but in January 2019, Brown was detained in Paris after a woman accused him of aggravated rape. He was released. The investigation was eventually dropped. No charges were filed, and Brown strongly denied it and even filed a defamation complaint against his accuser. In 2022, a woman filed a lawsuit accusing him of drugging and raping her on a yacht near Miami. Of course, Brown denied it, and that lawsuit was dropped later that same year. His public response was basically that people only come after him when he's about to release music. I need to say the honest thing about all three of those, okay? He was not criminally convicted in any of them. They were dropped, dismissed, or settled. Under the law, that means they are not proven, and it would be wrong for me to just sit here and tell you that they are established facts, okay? They're not. That's the fact check, and it cuts in his favor on these specific ones, okay? But it would be just as dishonest for me to pretend that the sheer volume doesn't exist, okay? Most people go their entire lives without a single accusation like this. That's the uncomfortable middle that this entire conversation lives in, and anybody selling you a clean, simple answer in either direction is full of it, okay? And I haven't even hit everything, y'all. There was a 2016 standoff at his home where police were called after a woman said he threatened her. There was a 2018 arrest over allegedly punching a photographer in Tampa. There was a lawsuit over an alleged backstage beatdown of several men after a concert in Fort Worth. There was even a whole situation about him keeping a pet monkey without a permit, which in the context of everything else is almost comic relief, except ain't nothing about this list funny, all right? He is a habitual rule breaker. Here's the question I actually care about. How is this man bigger than ever? Okay? Because let's look at the receipts on that side too. He holds records on the Billboard charts. He's still signed to a major label, RCA, who re-signed him for a big deal even while some of those clouds were hanging over him, okay? When he couldn't accept an award in person a few years back, Kelly Rowland got up on the stage, took the award for him, and when the crowd booed her, she shushed an entire arena and told everybody to give him grace and forgiveness, and now he's headlining stadiums with Usher, one of the most beloved names in R&B, and the tour is a smash. Now, of course, I have my own issues with Usher. He just came out recently and not necessarily defended Diddy, but basically dismissed what everyone else has said about him, including the video footage that we have of him abusing Cassie, the singer. Okay, so I really don't understand why we had this tour in the first place. But let me get back on track because I do understand that a lot of people like to platform and support and defend abusers. Our president is a rapist, okay? We need to pull them Epstein files up out of there. Figure out what's going on up in there, okay? Sorry, I had to get that out. Okay, let me stay on track. So the honest answer to why does nothing stick is because we don't let it, okay? The labels keep signing, the tickets keep selling, the streams keep streaming. The system that's supposed to hold him accountable keeps handing him plea deals. And the system that actually could hold him accountable, which is us, the fans, keep showing up. And listen, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money, okay? Or your playlist, all right? Grown people make grown decisions. Some of y'all separate the art from the artist, and you've made peace with that, and I'm not gonna pretend that that's a simple thing to figure out because it ain't. Okay, other people hear this list and they're done, and that's valid too. But R. Kelly might be the greatest R&B artist of all time, and he's also a rapist. One is an artist and one is a rapist, okay? And here's the thing, they're the same person. And when you think about some of that music that they're writing and that they're promoting, is it about children or people that they have abused? I'm sorry. Let me get back on track. What I am going to do is make sure that when you make that choice, okay, you're making it with the actual facts and not the PR version, because the PR version is always one mistake a long time ago. He's grown now. And the facts are a nearly 20-year timeline with a fresh guilty plea sitting on top of it from this month, okay? So whoever keeps trying to sell just one mistake when the receipts are this long and this recent, gonna go to hell. All right. As of right now, Chris Brown has pleaded guilty to affray in the UK. His sentencing is October 26, 2026. The charge maxes out at 3 years, but because he took the deal instead of a trial, a lot of people think he could get something lighter, possibly avoiding real jail time at all. He's still free on bail. He's still on stage every few nights with Usher on a 33-date stadium tour that runs through December. Okay, and the producer at the center of it, remember Abe? Yeah, he already walked away from his civil suit last year, so the door is basically closed on the money side. The real cliffhanger is that sentencing date in October. That's when we find out if a guilty plea to violent conduct actually cost this man anything, or if it just becomes one more line on a timeline that the tickets, the streams, and the standing ovations have already decided simply do not matter. So I'll be watching October 26th real close. And you already know I'm going to break down whatever the judge decides the second that it drops. Until then, okay, keep your eyes open and keep asking why the same name keeps showing up in the same kind of story. That question is the whole point. Leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know every single time your girl uploads, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.